Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are jumping into a really critical regulatory announcement. I mean, this is something that could completely redefine the crypto landscape here in the U.S.
It really could. For years, the whole industry has just been living under this cloud of potential litigation.
Always waiting for the other shoe to drop. But now it seems like the regulator is finally ready to offer a map, not just, a magnifying glass.
It's a huge shift. All our sources are pointing to this one speech by the new SEC Chair Paul Atkins. He was at the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia's FinTech conference.
And he announced a token taxonomy.
Exactly, a token taxonomy. And that's monumental because it signals a real path forward. It's a move away from just these endless ad hoc legal battles.
And the signal, it wasn't subtle at all. Atkins dropped this one quote that is just being pulled apart everywhere, and it really defines our entire deep dive today.
Oh, yeah. You have to hear it. It just completely shatters the old way of thinking.
Here it is. Networks mature, code is shipped, control disperses, the issuer's role diminishes or disappears.
And that right there, that's the whole thing. It acknowledges the fundamental nature of this technology.
That these assets are dynamic. They're not static. So what are the immediate implications of the SEC chair actually saying that out loud?
Well, the big thing is the SEC is basically admitting that their gold standard, the Howey Test, needs, let's say, a modern interpretation.
An update for the 21st century.
For sure. And this token taxonomy is the vehicle for that update. It's a new framework designed to bring some desperately needed clarity.
Okay, so let's unpack the mechanism. How is this taxonomy actually supposed to work? What does it do?
It's essentially a jurisdictional gatekeeper. It's meant to determine with clear principles which digital assets are securities, so they'd fall under the SEC.
And which ones aren't?
Right, and which are commodities or payment tokens, which would then fall under, say, the CFTC or maybe state regulators. The whole goal is to replace regulation by enforcement with actual rules of the road.
Which is so important. Because for the last, 5 or 6 years, the stance has just been once a security, always a security.
Always. Even if the original team completely vanished and the code was totally open source, that initial fundraising, that expectation of profit, it meant the asset was just stuck.
Legally stuck in securities purgatory. And we should probably remind you, the listener, that the Howey Test from 1946 is all about that initial investment contract.
Precisely. It's about the expectation of profit from the efforts of others. So if a token was sold to fund development, boom, it meant Howey. And the SEC used that origin story to claim jurisdiction forever.
But this is the pivot.
This is the absolute game changer. The SEC seems to finally be recognizing that a token can start its life as a security, during that initial fundraising. But then through genuine decentralization, it can graduate. It can stop being an investment contract. And that's what developers have been begging for, a way to launch in the U.S. without a guaranteed lawsuit.
So what would that graduation actually look like? What are the criteria for, true decentralization?
Well, they'll be looking for concrete metrics. Things that show the issuer's role has, like Atkins said, diminished. So, governance. Does one person or group still control the votes?
Okay, that makes sense.
And they'll look at founder token holdings, how dispersed the network activity is. Basically, can this network survive and thrive without the original team? If yes, that's maturity.
This is such a stark contrast to where we were just a couple of years ago.
Oh, absolutely. The Gensler era was defined by one strategy.
Regulation by enforcement.
That's it. We saw the big cases against Ripple, Coinbase, Binance. The philosophy was basically, we'll tell you the rules by suing you first.
Which, naturally, created a lot of hostility.
Yeah.
And it drove a ton of innovation offshore.
It really did. But now, under Chair Atkins, the whole tone has shifted. It's gone from antagonism to collaboration and modernization.
Well, we have real evidence of this, right?
Yeah.
It's not just talk. The SEC has reportedly dropped a few big crypto investigations.
And, crucially, they launched Project Crypto, an internal review designed specifically to modernize how the agency handles digital assets.
And who is co-leading that project is also a major signal.
A huge signal. It's Commissioner Hester Pierce, crypto mom herself. Her involvement proves this is a serious effort. This is the first time the SEC has officially, as a matter of doctrine, said that networks can outgrow their security status.
That's a foundational shift. But we have to be clear here and make sure you understand this. This isn't a free pass for bad actors.
Not at all. And Atkins was very explicit about this. He said, and I'm quoting again, "This framework is not a promise of lax enforcement. Fraud is fraud."
So the goal isn't to stop enforcement.
No, the goal is to make it targeted. predictable. The SEC is still going to go after scams, but they're going to start differentiating between outright fraud and, legitimate projects trying to follow the rules.
And this move also brings the U.S. more in line with what's happening globally. We've been lagging for a
A
while.
long while. I mean, look at the EU with MiCA, the Markets and Crypto Assets Regulation. It's already incredibly sophisticated. It distinguishes between utility tokens, asset reference tokens, e-money tokens.
All different rules.
Exactly. This new U.S. taxonomy is a step in that direction. It's a signal that we're finally getting serious about creating a real ecosystem here.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting, beyond just classification. Atkins also proposed a tailored offering regime for tokens that start as investment contracts.
Right. And this regime is basically a streamlined path for issuers. Think of it as a middle ground. It's not a full, crazy expensive IPO, but it's not a regulatory vacuum either.
So like simpler disclosures that are actually relevant to a crypto network.
That's the idea. Focus less on balance sheets and more on the tech, the governance, the path to decentralization. It lets projects raise funds legally, as long as that graduation path is clear from the start.
But the really revolutionary part, the bit that could break down old financial silos, is about trading.
Yes. Atkins directed SEC staff to draft rules that would let these investment contract tokens trade on non-SEC regulated platforms.
That is a massive shift. So a token that starts under the SEC's watch could eventually trade on a platform regulated by the CFTC.
Potentially, yes. Or even certain state regulators. It's revolutionary because it means an asset isn't trapped in the old securities infrastructure forever. If it's on the path to becoming a commodity, let it trade like one. It boosts liquidity, efficiency. It just makes sense.
And that leads directly to this idea of a super app that everyone's been talking about.
Exactly. This is the bridge to that. With a clear taxonomy and flexible trading, you could have one app, one platform, where a user could trade stocks, crypto commodities, tokenized bonds,
All seamlessly.
all under one roof, no matter which regulator is technically overseeing each asset. It could unlock an incredible amount of capital.
It's the SEC acting like a proactive innovator for once, not just a reactive enforcer. But of course, this is all happening with the backdrop of Washington, D.C. politics.
Right. Congress is still gridlocked on a big crypto bill. The House passed something, but the Senate is still divided.
So the SEC is stepping into that vacuum.
Well, Chair Atkins was careful. He said their work aligns with and complements Congress. But the reality is, until a bill actually gets passed, this token taxonomy is going to become the de facto U.S. framework.
And that certainty is what we need to catch up, because we have been falling behind other countries.
Absolutely. Europe has MiCA, Singapore has the PSA, Hong Kong, Japan. They all have frameworks. That clarity attracts talent and capital. This taxonomy is the first big step to bringing that innovation back to the U.S.
So it's legal certainty for companies and a lot less risk of being caught in some multi-year regulation by lawsuit.
It is. It's about rebuilding trust between the regulator and the industry.
So that's really the core takeaway for you today.
Yeah.
The SEC is moving from treating every token as a potential lawsuit to creating a defined graduation path based on decentralization. The policy is finally catching up with the tech.
It is.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to chew on. We know tokens should be able to graduate. But what should the criteria be? Is it just about founder holdings, or should it be based on transaction volume, or maybe the number of independent nodes?
That's the next big question. But the fact that we're even asking it with the SEC's blessing is a sign of incredible maturity for the whole ecosystem. And, if you found this breakdown valuable and want to keep getting this kind of analysis,
Please do engage. It really helps the channel.
it does. Smash that like button, subscribe to Crypto Robot, and hit the notification bell. It helps the channel grow and keeps us decoding the biggest shifts shaping crypto policy and innovation.